Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show how I did this drawing of a beagle in graphite. Now I'm going to have lots of tips in this video that focus on how to create art from your own reference photos, whether or not that's you wanting to draw your own family pet or you've had your first commission. Maybe you're not quite sure where to start when you don't have that guidance of a tutorial. So my first tip for this is to just work on small areas. At the moment, I'm only focusing on the eye. I'm not worrying at all about the detail in the fur, the ranges of values that fur is going to require. It's just purely the shape of the eye, the size of the eye, and the light source. Now, once I was happy with the eye, I then progressed to working on the entire base layer for the left side of the face. And that's because for the real-time step-by-step version of this tutorial, my goal was to help with artists who are struggling to work from their own reference photos, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video. So the structure of this tutorial is very different to anything that I have created so far, and I'm going to explain why I've done that as I progress through this video. So when creating a base foundation for the fur, I've got a few things that I want to prioritise, but the very first is mapping in my main lights and darks. The placement of those are not random, they do follow the structures under the skin. And I want to be making sure that my base foundation is soft and well blended. I don't want there to be any harsh start and stop points here between my main values, because that's going to create a rigid look to the face, which will result in more of a two-dimensional feel. So this here is something that I really want to focus on regardless of the subject that I'm drawing. Now, the reason I decided to only include the left-hand side of the tutorial is because I then wanted members who follow along to the real-time version to then use those steps, those techniques on their own for completing the base foundation on the right-hand side. So this is going to be a really nice in-between step for artists who are wanting to maybe take on their own commissions, but are feeling very overwhelmed to transition from a tutorial to their own projects. Now, I wouldn't typically recommend to work in whole individual layers like this because I personally find that it's far more easier to get stressed. We start to maybe rush through layers because we're having to incorporate and interpret a lot of information from that reference photo. Now, there is no right or wrong. If an artist does prefer to work in whole individual layers, then that's absolutely fine. But if you do feel like you are rushing, it's always worth scaling it down to one area at a time. And I am doing that here to some degree. I'm not just working with one value across the entire left side of the face. I'm working on the area around the eye, gradually increasing those darker layers. I've then progressed to the muzzle, I've got that to the same standard, and then I'm working on the ear. Rather than me just mapping in all of my lighter values for all of the face, then doing a second layer where I'm darkening it and so on. This does help to then focus on one area of the reference photo at one time, which when aiming for a higher level of realism can help to simplify the process. But for my specific goal for this confidence building tutorial, I did want to work with the one side of the face, get the base foundation completed before I worked on with the details. And you'll see why I've decided to do that as I progress through this video. This is a great demonstration that I don't like to work with one layer. That's why I call it a base foundation rather than a base layer. For me, I might work with 4 to 5 layers to get my base foundation exactly where it needs to be. There's no set number, it's going to depend on the contrast, the lighting, the fur texture, but I do want to be making sure that I've got my base foundation for the area that I'm then working on, where I'm going to progress to my details, exactly where it needs to be before I use my pencils. And that might also change as I start working with my pencils. There are many times where I'll start adding in some texture and then I'll feel that my base foundation in that area is not actually exactly where it needs to be. I'll switch back to the applicators that I'm using for my base foundation, work on that area a little bit more, refine it, and then return with my pencils. So just because I've technically at this stage feel that I have done my base foundation, that doesn't mean that I'm actually calling it 100% finished because it may need to be adapted. And this is where the first stage should be left for members who are drawn along to the real-time version. And when working from your own reference photos, I would really recommend to get this stage where you feel it needs to be. If you're working from a photo with lighter fur colours, you may not need to go as dark as this. So there is no set rule again for my base foundation and what that is going to look like, but I do want to make sure that it has this level of softness. If I've got any harsh start and stop points, I am very anxious to make sure that I soften that before I even consider the pencil stages. So in order for me to create this confidence building tutorial, I did want to specifically make sure that the reference photo I chose had a very similar light source on the left and the right hand side, because I wanted to be able to provide more of this stress-free, less overwhelming process for members who are working on the other side without my guidance in that tutorial. So if I had a reference photo that did have a much darker right hand side, that base foundation is going to look different. It's going to need more layers. So I wanted here for this very first tutorial in this series to be as fair as it could be. Now the next stage is where we work together on building the details on the right hand side, just like I've shown in this photo. The reason that I've decided to do this is so that any members who are following along to the real-time version are then working on their own base foundation on the right-hand side. They can then use all of the steps that we're working on together to then transfer those details to the left-hand side on their own. Now, one of my biggest tips when you are working from your own reference photos is when you're starting to work with your graphite pencils, is try not to jump into your darkest details right away. So throughout this section of the video, you're going to see that I'll be switching between my pencils and I'm building up my darker values gradually. I don't want to just grab my softest, darkest pencil such as a 9B in areas where that fur is really dark, because I've then missed out on a lot of softness and depth. So even if I've got maybe a black Labrador portrait that I'm creating and there is a section of fur that's exceptionally dark, I will still make sure that I'm working with multiple pencils to build that up, even if there isn't any detail in that area of dark fur. Now I do have a black pug tutorial here on YouTube where the fur is very dark. I'll show how to layer those pencils and that extreme contrast with building those layers gradually and how that does massively enhance the level of realism. If that video is of interest, I'll link that in the description below. Now, one of the biggest worries that we have when working with darker layers is that we might be concerned that we can't then add our highlights back over the top. But as long as the layering process has been correct and the graphite has been applied in the right way, then the erasers can lift up majority of that graphite. Now, if there is a particularly bright highlight in the reference photo, such as the reflection in the eye, then I will allow the white of the paper to show through, which you can see here on the right hand side. That highlight in the eye I haven't yet softened. You can see that that looks very harsh and it gives the eye a bit more of a two-dimensional look when you compare it to the other eye. So once I've put in a little bit of shading there and enhanced my values, that softness in the expression is going to be maximised. So the values here are crucial. Now, as I'm starting to progress with my details, this is where I'll also start to incorporate those erasers and pull in some highlights. And again, I don't just work with my highlights for my last layer. I use my erasers throughout that layering process and actually in cases darken those highlights to give me more of a lighter mid-tone. By switching between my pencils and my erasers, I can yet again maximise that depth and softness. Now, another big tip that I feel is really important, I've briefly mentioned this at the beginning of the video, is making sure that the highlights and shadows are in the right place. Now, as I'm starting to build up the darker values on the ears, this is helping to give the slight dip in the ear shape. It's also helping for any areas of fur that might be a little bit thicker. This is going to help with that shaping, how that larger surface of the ear is sitting over the lower part of the jaw. that's going to bring this highlight that I'm starting to reinforce by darkening up what's next to it a little bit more dimension. Now, if you have an area that is lighter, but you don't feel it's light enough, you want to then make it a little bit more brighter in appearance, but you've got that lightest value established, then that's an indication that you need to darken up what's next to it. As I'm starting to darken this part of the ear, it will make that highlight on the lower fold of that ear appear brighter because the contrast is being adjusted. So this is something else that's really important. It's not just the placement of the lights and the darks, but making sure that those values are as light or as dark as they need to be is going to massively help. Now, graphite is a wonderful medium for refining the value part of our drawing skills. When working with colour, we can sometimes get too obsessed about worrying about the exact colour, but it's actually how light or dark that colour should be that is going to make that portrait look more realistic, and graphite demonstrates that perfectly. Because there's no ounce of colour that's used here, it's the values that are creating that impression of a black and white photo. Getting these values right, getting the right variety of values is crucial. Now, with the detailed stage of the right hand side almost done, I just want to throw in another tip for drawing collars, especially when the collar is maybe a little bit out of focus with minimal detail showing. This is where we sometimes feel that we have to force what we can't see. However, if the rest of the reference photo shows a good level of detail, then there's going to be a reason why the collar is having those details hidden. In this situation, it was just that the lighting was a bit darker across the neck. It also did have more of a blur on the lower edge of the reference photo. So if I was to force highlights where they're not needed or add detail that I can't see, then I'm not only going to be changing the light source, but I'm also going to change the feel of the reference photo and therefore the drawing. By having this area a little softer, it's also going to maintain more focus on the face, which for drawing these kinds of portraits is something that I personally love. If the reference photo did show more detail on the collar, then I would actually work with the same layering process that I'm using here, but I would add more of my eraser layers and the finer pencil detailed work to make sure that this area was a little bit sharper. But I would still apply the graphite in exactly as the same way that I am here, and first of all get my base foundation established. Once this is in place, then I'll get my contrast in with my darker layers that I'm building up gradually, before coming back in with the erasers for those details as mentioned. And then at this stage of the real-time tutorial, this is where members would use all of the steps in the right-hand detailed phase over to the left and work with those unassisted portions where they're then building their confidence and repeating that same process. And at this point here, this is where the bulk of the portrait has been done. But what I then wanted to do is record the final stage of this tutorial together so that we can then work through any potential issues that may have happened, fix any proportion problems, and add those all-important details. So providing the end stage of this tutorial, all with that recorded step-by-step voiceover while I'm drawing, this would be a perfect opportunity for me to wrap up that tutorial, but provide a time where we can fix mistakes together. So any areas where the proportions might be a little bit off, whether or not we can then add a bit more depth and contrast in places to really push the artwork and take it to the next level. Now, in terms of judging whether or not the proportions are correct, if you start to feel like maybe the eyes aren't in the right position, maybe one looks a little bit larger than it should be, then it's always worth checking, first of all, is it that the shadows or highlights around the eye aren't in the right place or they need to be enforced? If the eye is actually the correct shape and we jump to making that larger or smaller when that wasn't really the problem, it might have been the fur around it, then we're actually making changes unnecessarily and more work for ourselves in the long run. So these are things that we want to be aware of, ideally throughout the layering process, not just at this end stage. But graphite being that it is more of a forgiving medium if the right layering process has been used, we've got this opportunity at this stage to change the eye position if we need to. But as I say, it's important first of all to take a breather and work out, is it actually the eye itself, or are the structures around the eye not quite right? If, for example, the highlights and shadows to the side of the nose were not in the right place, that would make the bridge of the nose look narrow or too wide. But first of all, we might actually think it's the nose itself. So these are just questions that I'm asking at this end phase that are important to be aware of, so that we are only making the changes and enhancements where needed. So I do hope this video has been useful. If it was, I'd be very grateful if you could give it a like and a thumbs up. That makes a huge difference to my channel. I do also upload a couple of videos to YouTube every week, so if you would like to get notified of that content, then don't forget to hit the subscribe and the bell button. If you would like to draw along to the real-time version of this tutorial, then I'll link all of the information to that in the description below. If you do have any art-related questions, feel free to pop them in the comments. I'm always happy to help if I can. And I'm going to be uploading another video next week. But as always, thank you so much for watching.